It's all about you. Your version is a lie. Those were just some of the taunts thrown at Oscar Pistorius during a very aggressive second day of cross-examination. Prosecutors accused the athlete of bullying his girlfriend, Riva Steenkamp. A message between the couple was read out in court in which Ms. Steenkamp said, "I'm scared of you sometimes." The prosecution also questioned him about the day a gun accidentally went off in a restaurant. Well, we can go now to Deborah Patter, who's in Johannesburg. Deborah, it's been quite a day for Oscar Pistorius, hasn't it?
It has indeed. I mean, today may not have been as dramatic as other days, but it was an absolute calamity for Oscar Pistorius as the prosecution continued to chip away at what seem increasingly implausible answers. They painted him as a jealous bully, a man who refuses to accept responsibility for anything. Not only is he charged with murder, but he is charged with firing a weapon in a crowded restaurant. Now he says the gun was in his hand, but his finger wasn't on the trigger and he doesn't know how it went off. But even more damning is his insistence now that not only did he not intend to kill Riva Steenkamp, he didn't intend to kill anyone. Jane Deeth has this report, which also contains Pistorius continuing his testimony on the stand once again off camera.
He used to be held up as a hero. Today, the prosecution tore into his character. Riva Steenkamp's mother, in the glasses, says she can't tell whether he's acting. But prosecutor Harry Nell said with Oscar Pistorius, everything's an act. And there's a reason he didn't apologise to the Steenkamps before the trial.
You couldn't face them, because facing them in private would mean that you have to take responsibility, and you don't want to. It's a red one there.
Ducking responsibility. It would be Mr. Nell's theme all day. He also painted Oscar Pistorius as a self-centred bully who picked on Riva Steenkamp, humiliating her when she showed him affection in public. Mr. Pistorius accepted he'd never told her he loved her, but insisted it was a strong relationship. Harry Nell pulled out one of Riva Steenkamp's texts, which said, "I'm scared of you sometimes and how you snap at me." According to the prosecution, Oscar Pistorius is a man with a temper and a liability with a gun. He once let off a friend's gun in a restaurant, but he refused to admit pulling the trigger.
You fired that gun. There is no other way that bullet could have been discharged without you pulling the trigger. You are lying.
Yes, I respect Mr. Nell's comment, my lady, but I didn't pull the trigger on that firearm.
But Oscar Pistorius got a friend to say he let off the gun. The court heard he texted Riva Steenkamp, "Angel, please don't say a thing to anyone. Darren told everyone it was his fault." But what about responsibility for shooting Riva Steenkamp 4 times through a locked toilet door? Oscar Pistorius said today it was an accident. He thought she was an intruder. He fired out of fear.
My lady, if Riva had come out or if she'd spoken to me, or then I wouldn't have fired.
But then there was this.
Now, we know for a fact you had no reason to shoot.
That's
objectively seen.
That's correct, my lady.
Harry Nell concluded by saying Oscar Pistorius killed Riva Steenkamp after an argument, not by accident.
Your version is so improbable that nobody would ever think it's reasonably possibly true. It's so improbable.
Oscar Pistorius, who denies murder, looked shell-shocked as he left court.
Well, that last comment by Harry Nell was perhaps the most telling of all. He's painting out that Oscar Pistorius is a liar, a man who fabricated a version of events, and he also got a concession from him that he never really intended to shoot anyone. In fact, there was no reason to shoot at all. This is not good for his case, because even if he is found not guilty of shooting Riva Steenkamp, he could still be found guilty of murder. The prosecution also picked away at some of his inconsistencies. The fact that he woke up to bring a fan into the room. He couldn't say where the fan was plugged in or where he put it. Harry Nell was so incredulous at one point at some of his answers that he burst out laughing, prompting a scolding from the judge, who said that this isn't entertainment. Well, that may be the case. It is a murder trial after all. That doesn't mean South Africans aren't glued to their television screens, listening on their radios, watching on their Twitter timelines. The only people who were not laughing today was the defence. They looked very glum at Pistorius' performance.
Not just South Africans glued. Deborah in Johannesburg, thank you very much.